Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Sully's Open Conversation, the show that aims to have an unfamiliar conversation in a familiar environment. Today I have taken the very short trip down to Cheam to come and meet with Oscar. Welcome, Oscar.
Hello guys.
So me and Oscar, we've actually known each other for a little while, haven't we?
It's been a while, but
it's been kind of like on and off seeing each other,
yeah,
hasn't it? Yeah. But like I've said before, a wonderful thing of me kind of talking about my troubles is that Oscar had confided in me and sent me a message, and actually Sam had as well, worrying about you and kind of saying he's expressed that he's that he's going through this, and it's allowed him to understand a little bit more about what you were going through and how he could help. So massive credit to you for kind of reaching out and getting that kind of sorted and getting the ball rolling, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll let Oscar introduce himself.
I think this feels like Love Island, doesn't it? I'm Oscar, I'm 24, I'm from Cheam. I'm a trading product analyst for a big old software firm. And yeah, this is me, really.
Lovely.
So.
And the way that we like to start is if you could say a positive experience that you have heard, seen or done recently.
Positive experience. I would say it would probably be, oh God, I really don't know. It's tough because there's been so many, and like I think to pick one out from a big old pile is difficult. I think I went out for work drinks actually on Wednesday just gone, and one of the more senior people pulled me aside and just said, you know, how are you getting on with work? All we can see is positive.
Brilliant.
You know, like and just keep doing exactly what you're doing. So I think for me that's huge, because I'm a big worrier, and like I stress that I'm not good enough, and that I think that's probably because of my previous jobs where I've not really had that. So getting it in the forefront of someone who, to me, is a very important person, it was a little bit shocking, but it was. I tried to receive it as best I could, and I kind of just sort of was like, oh, you know, that's amazing, thank you so much.
You need someone to identify the kind of good work, and our generation massively is all about instant gratification and
yeah. But no, I think to pick one as like a most recent sort of occurrence, it would definitely be then. Literally what.
You're getting that recognition, aren't you? Which is lovely.
Yeah, I think so. And like I try very hard with my job, and it's a tough job to have. And I think I've been there for 8 weeks now, and to have somebody of their caliber approach me and say well done, I think for me is it's
a massive boost, isn't it? It's confidence boost, motivation boost.
It's weird, and it's just it was a little bit, oh, I haven't had this before, I don't really know how to react. And it was just, it's tough. But no, that's probably the most sort of recent anyway.
Lovely. That's really nice. Yeah. And it's so important, especially in the workplace, to have that recognition. Obviously, if you get it too often, or just for little things, it kind of loses its sense of achievement, doesn't it? Yeah, exactly.
I agree. Yeah.
So it's quite nice that you had that kind of sprung upon you when you least expected it, and
it's
how it should be. It's how, to not have had it in your previous jobs shows the kind of jobs that they were, really, if you weren't receiving that kind of
I think so, and you know, I think they were in their own aspects difficult jobs to have, sort of thing. And I think, you know,
in their own ways,
and it just I don't know, it really sort of took me back, and I sort of was like, oh, okay, you know, I don't know how to
processing.
I don't know how to sort of receive it, and the person was sort of like, you know, like, really well done. And I was just like, thank you. I didn't know how to take it. And then one of the fellas who I work with was with me at the time as well, and he was like, oh, that's so good, like, well done. And I was just like, fuck, I was like, I don't know what to do. I just sort of,
not the beer.
It was really odd, but
no, it's lovely.
No, it was lovely. And
really good. And it's quite a new job, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's getting that sort of feedback and that positive sort of almost affirmation off of someone who is an important person. The time that I've been there, it all just lumps into its own little weird well done for myself from hearing it from someone else. I don't know. There's so many variables to it, but yeah.
To have an external feedback that.
I don't know. And it's just, it's nice not hearing it from your mum and dad. Like, you know, I'm sure you get like, with my mum's like, yeah, you do fine, you're doing well, and I'm sure like, yeah, okay, but it's just having that third
You
party.
still doubt yourself. Yeah,
Massively. And
someone that does like knows you a bit less personally, isn't it?
Definitely,
in the professional sense.
And I think there's always going to be bias.
Yeah,
from
yeah,
your parents
yeah,
or your
of course.
friends, whoever. There's always going to be like a no, you're fine. Whereas, as you say, having it with someone who knows you purely from a corporate perspective, it's nice, and it means a lot.
Gives a different dynamic.
Yeah, and I think that was a day that I was having a bit of a, not a rough time, but I was grumpy, I was tired, and it kind of just, it was that little bit of magic. It sounds so silly to say, but it was just that little thing that just made me go, oh, okay, things are okay.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. It's that reassurance.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't know.
Lovely, lovely. So yeah, if you just wouldn't mind kind of talking a little bit about your experience and what you've been through and how you've managed it and things like that, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it all kind of came at once, really. You know, the saying is bad things come in threes. So I split up with my long-term girlfriend back in October, just gone last year.
Right.
And then about 2 and a bit weeks later, my dog died, which was like, bam,
It's compounding,
another one.
yeah.
And then at the beginning of this year, I lost my job at my previous company.
Crikey.
So it was just like hit.
Jesus.
And it just threw me into this pit of just darkness and just, you know, and just the shit, really. Like, and I, you know, because it was all very fresh and it was all very raw, that I just didn't know how to react to it. And I was very recluse originally, and you know, that sort of is reflected by someone like Sam reaching out to you, and I just didn't know what to do. And I haven't often been very vocal with my parents, at least, about, you know, my mental health and stuff like that. And this was probably one of the first times where I just sort of said, I really don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And particularly my dad, like he's always been very encouraging, as my mum has as well. But he was just like, I know therapists, we can get you in front of a doctor.
Brilliant.
You know, he was very sort of
Yeah,
proactive.
yeah.
Of making sure that I was okay. And I think that was the first time where I just went, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
And you know, so it was more me getting out more. I was very heavy on fitness, and I was in the gym because that for me was my like
Release.
almost my disassociation from
Right.
everything that had been happening, and like that was my time to just zone out and not really have to worry. So yeah, so that was a huge thing for me, was just the gym. And then I started speaking with a lovely lady called Amanda, who is and was my therapist. And it was a really odd sensation with her, because she, again, is someone who knows nothing about me.
Yeah.
And has no opinion, no bias, no
Completely impartial, isn't it?
preconceived ideas of who you are, what you've been through, sort of thing. So for me, it was almost sort of relieving to just go in and just give her everything that's happened.
Shell it all out.
And she
Spray
said
it
to
all
me,
on the table.
Yeah, she said to me with our first meeting, she just said, if you don't want to talk about something, that's fine. It's more of a case of what you tell me we can work off of. And I just said to her, I will tell you everything, because there's no point, for me at least anyway, if you're looking to heal yourself, why would you
keep things back?
Keep things back, cover it up. You know, there's obviously going to be an element of vulnerability that you feel. But I think, at least for me, with her, I just was like, I'm sick of feeling like this. Like, help me, because ultimately you only get what you give.
Exactly. Yeah.
So so I had a bunch of calls with her, and you know, it was hugely beneficial. And it was just, I remember the first call I had with her, I fell asleep straight away.
Really?
I literally got off the call with her, put my laptop down, and got into bed and just fell asleep. I was exhausted, because
you've piled it all up,
running through so many emotions and so many memories and stuff. And I think that it just wiped me out completely. And then the next couple of calls with her, it was very much more structured. You know, how are you getting on and stuff like that. So yeah, I think
you have to lay it all out to start with in order for them to realise what's gone on and what's been troubling you, basically.
It's like, God, this is going to be such a stupid metaphor, but it's as if you're making a meal. You have all the ingredients at the beginning, and then you make it up to something that is good. And I think with her, she was, because that's her job, she's a therapist, and one of the things that was a bit weird for me is that she, in our first call, got really quite emotional. She got very
Oh,
emotional.
really?
Because her son is also 23, and she just said, first of all, I'm so proud that you have had the sort of courage to come and speak to me, but also it makes me worry that he's feeling the same and isn't willing to talk to me, sort of thing. So she just sort of said it's a very mixed bag of emotions, and she just, yeah, bless her, she just was a bit like, a bit of a wobble.
It builds that relationship with her as well, though, doesn't
yeah,
it?
it massively does.
It shows if you had if they were just sat across the screen or the table and you were shelling out all this stuff and there were very little emotions being shown and writing things down, you just feel like you're being assessed in a way, don't you?
Exactly, yeah. And
rather than...
It massively felt as a convo like this. There was no, we need to hit these conversation topics or these targets, or, you know, it was very much just an open, let's see what we can do. You know, she gave me, not tips, but like things that I could do proactively, intrinsically for myself to better myself, that it was, again, on me to work on and to put into fruition, sort of thing. So
it's ultimately down to yourself, isn't it?
Massively it is.
And like, self-healing and intrinsic work, really.
Yeah, and going on to sort of what's helped me, people have been a huge part for me. Like,
amazing.
I think I like to think that I'm a very social person, and I think that one of the reasons why I was in such a bad state originally is because I did just recluse. I just hid away. I didn't really talk to my friends as much as I have been, you know, since then, sort of thing. So once I kind of felt in my own head that I was not good enough, but I could then start engaging with my friends again, it was as if someone just flicked a switch, and it was kind of like things were a hell of a lot better.
It's wild how that can happen, isn't it?
It just, yeah, and like, I think there's so many people that I have the ability to speak with, which I think I'm incredibly lucky, because some people don't have that. And there are numerous people that I would be listening for forever if I was to say, but like, it's just having that reassurance that I could go to anyone and just go, guys, I'm really struggling, and they'd be like, right, let's do this, let's go out for dinner, let's go to the gym, let's go to the park, let's go for a beer. Like, it's having that options of me and me thinking, you know what, it's not that bad. Like, and I think that's where I really got myself into a constant sort of vicious circle of just thinking, God, my life's awful, I hate my life, so much has happened to me, you know, and then to come back around again, and it's like, okay, I'm okay. And then you have a bit of a heavy weekend, and then you start feeling a bit shit, and then you just sort of fall into the shit again. I don't know, but more so than speaking to someone who is a therapist, it's been people, and it's been my friends, and it's just been finding joy as much as I possibly can, because what's the point? Ultimately, like, if you can't, you could be going through whatever, and everyone's got their own stuff that they're dealing with, and I think a lot of people kind of may sometimes cover up stuff that they're dealing with, or not feel comfortable at talking with it, which is completely fine. And like, I've had friends of mine come to me with issues of their own, sort of thing, and it's we work through it together, or I help them, they help me. It's, you know, but I think ultimately my view on stuff is just have a laugh, just get on with it, and I think I'm a very anxious person. I've always been like that, and I was in hospital at the beginning of this year because I had a really, like, they were checking my heart and stuff like that, and they ultimately just turned around and just said, you've had a really shit time, you're not really sleeping properly.
Your mental health affects your physical health as well.
Massively.
They're massively interlinked.
And they just said, you're just... essentially what I went in for is they were worried that I had a heart attack.
Right.
And they put me on a load of blood tests, and there's one of the tests that they take, which is essentially the enzyme is released during a cardiac arrest.
Right.
So they were checking for that, basically, and I had to do a load of tests, and I was there for ages. And then the doctor ultimately came in and just said, you seem fine, but he just said, you just have had either a massive anxiety episode, or you've just... Yeah, he was just like, you just need to have...
It's the amount of stress that was under your body.
He just said, you're putting your body in so much unnecessary stress, you're not eating properly, you're not sleeping properly, you're exercising, which is good, but it's almost like a trifecta.
And it's all about balance.
Exactly.
The key is balance.
And he just sort of said, you just need to just relax and like find something that will relax you.
Yeah.
And at the time I was a bit like, thanks doc, I could have told myself that and saved myself the hassle of having a needle shoved in my arm, you know, sort of thing. So, but yeah, I don't know, like it just.
It was a very funny. I was in a taxi coming back from a night out once, and it was. I must have had a bit too much to drink, and I was feeling quite down. And the taxi driver looked in his rearview mirror and looked at me and was like, "Are you all right? Is anything going on?" And I just kind of, I was a bit drunk, and just so I started talking to him about all this stuff and like, oh, I have depression, and he was just like, why don't you just be happy?
Yeah, honestly.
I was just like, mate, you've cracked it.
Yeah.
You've cracked it. Do you know what? You've
like,
actually cracked
oh
the
my
case.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, rejoice. Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah, no, it's so silly. And like, I think, I love that innocence from people. Though,
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, and he didn't mean badly in that,
Exactly,
and I did just
yeah,
laugh.
yeah.
I did just laugh because that is some understanding and some naivety and in society about mental health and about mental illness.
Yeah.
Is that you just think it's kind of like a fixable kind of bandage?
Yeah.
Stick it on and
Like
it
a
will.
broken arm.
Yeah.
Put it in the cast and it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah.
It takes work and it
Yeah.
takes control and it takes management, and it can be for a hell of a long time in order to get back to a place where you feel completely comfortable and can enjoy things.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's kind of. I would go out. I wasn't necessarily in recluse, but I would go out and not be present. I wouldn't be there. I wouldn't be
there,
in the moment.
but you weren't there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was just having a horrible time, although I was laughing and smiling with my friends. Of course I love that, and I will always love that, but they can't affect what's going on really in there. And like this with depression and things like that, it's a medical chemical imbalance. You can't just flick that switch and be like, you're fine.
Oh, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Wake up one day and just things are
Just be like,
things are fine.
Why was I even feeling like that?
Yeah.
Just be happy.
And I think I do have times where I'm really feeling rough, and then it could be overnight. I'll just wake up and be like, why have I felt like that? What is it in my own head that makes me feel like that? Why am I doing that to myself? And then that then puts me into a bit of a rut because I get pissed off with myself.
Yeah.
Because I don't need to feel like that. And then you fall back into like, oh my God, what the hell's going on?
You're in conflict in your own mind, and that's just going to make it worse.
There's so much of that, and I don't know. I think as well, it's funny you say, like, time, I think, is a huge factor in healing.
Yeah.
Massively.
Oh God,
and,
yeah.
And I think, like, I would honestly say that I've only started to feel like really actually okay the last 2-3 months maybe.
Really?
Yeah. And like I've been, even in this beginning of the year, I've been out a lot with my friends, and as you say, you're there, but like you're not there.
Present in the moment.
Yeah. And I think it was oddly, in a way, it was beneficial to me that I wasn't working, because I could just throw myself into myself and not really have to worry about anything else. But I don't know. Yeah. The last 3 months, I'd say, is when I've started to feel like actually
really
happy.
Improving and kind of and you're not just trying to survive or get through it. You're actually kind of starting to thrive and really get your mojo back.
Get your mojo
way,
back.
isn't
Yeah,
it?
and just like it's just feeling comfortable, like as you. And I think
therapy allows you to explore that a lot, though.
Yeah.
It gets you to really think about why you think that way or why you did that, and it's just questioning yourself, really, isn't it? And a lot of the time we don't get time to do that because you're working, and then you've got events, and then you're back to working again, and it's there isn't that downtime, freedom that you need to really sit down, because it can be very uncomfortable. It can be very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And hard. Like this stuff
is
isn't
hard.
easy.
It's bloody hard.
It's not easy.
It's. And I think that's why I find I really try and see like the innocence and the comedic value in when someone's just like, just don't be sad.
Yeah,
like it's kind of like, oh, silly me. Like it's really like
Why did I think of that?
Why didn't I think of that? Yeah, it's so, and I think there's almost like an envy of me that someone can feel that black and white.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you know what?
A hell of a lot of people can.
If that's genuinely for you a fix, then that's perfect. But like for people like myself and for someone like you, like it's not that easy.
It's complex.
It's so complex, and
Yeah.
there's so many things happening, and like I've just got things in my head constantly going over and over, and just thinking about stuff that happened 4 years ago or yesterday, or stuff that I've got to prepare for next week, and it's just like there's so many things happening that I just
That you can't control the thought as well. It was really interesting in Ollie's episode. He was literally like, you will go around your day to day and you can't think of the next thought that comes into your head.
Yeah.
It's genuinely impossible, and that's what meditation is for. It's for allowing that thought to come in, marinate, understand it, and just let it pass. And then you might have a brief moment of just silence and clarity, and then the next one will come in, and it's a way of processing it rather than just letting these thoughts bombard you all day. And like it compounds on itself, and it builds, and that's why one day we might just be randomly agitated and quite kind of snappy, because these things have been building up in our mind for so long that we've just not dealt with.
Yeah.
We've just kind of brushed it aside or forgotten about it, and then it's come back again and again.
And again. No, there's it was sort of, it was more my friend Ollie, actually, not Barton, that said to me, literally write a list, things you can control, things you can't. And like it was reiterated again by Amanda, and it kind of was just like, you know what, I was always like, yeah, whatever, I'm not doing that, silly writing lists. But in reality, I don't do it as often now because I'm fairly good at it. But when you're really stuck, the things that you physically can't control, it's that learning to just let go.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I very much like to be someone who, not in control, but I know what's going on.
We like to have
like
a certain
structure.
level of structure, in
and
order
I think
to it. Yeah.
having those scenarios where you do just have to let go, for me, was a massive learning curve for me. But I think that's just part of growth. That's part of your development. And you know, there are always going to be times and things where I'm just like, fuck, you know, I really wish I could fix this, or like, I really wish I could have
some influence
form of
over
influence, and just to be like, you know what, done. Like, is what it is.
You just
can't
got to
do
drop
anything.
it.
You just got to drop it. It's fine. And you know, I think I'm proud within myself that I have developed that ability, because Oscar, a year, 2 years ago, would never have been like that.
Yeah.
And it's almost rewarding that I can see that even though I feel like I'm not amazing, I'm better than I was, and that's kind of
continuous improvement.
Yeah.
And you never will get to that perfect point. Do you know what I mean? That's
no
what life is, to be
one's
honest.
perfect, and I think that falls back into the time thing, because that's 2 years, roughly, let's say, of me doing one thing, and like there's obviously going to be little things that have come and gone and stuff like that, but for me it's just like, I don't know, it just, sometimes I can wake up and just go, I'm content. Just let it go.
Yeah.
I'm content. Nothing I can do. Just got to get on with it.
It's funny because certainly previously, kind of a couple of years ago, I was living very intense lifestyles and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And because I hadn't had that time to stop and think, and that's why I think started to compound on me. And when I did have time to stop and think, it just got worse.
Yeah.
So when I had been through therapy and really got to understand, and you go through kind of the lowest parts, and then when you start to come out the other side, I lived such an intense lifestyle a couple of years ago, and now I'm so much more content and happy with just pure like peace, bliss, doing nothing.
Yeah.
Like just I will now just go to the back of my garden and just watch nature for like half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour a day, and I go back inside and I feel refreshed, rejuvenated, energized. It just has this magic power over me that a couple of years ago, George would be sat here going, "You're fucking nuts."
Yeah. Yeah.
Who are you? Like, who are you to tell me? And that's what's interesting about this show, and about coming on here and having the guests that are so courageous, and honestly, I admire every single one of you for doing it, is that people might not watch this or listen to this because it's not happened to them.
Yeah.
And they don't get it.
They don't understand.
And they don't they don't feel as though they'll ever need it. But the entire point is that it's because you may need it.
Mm.
You may not need it right now, but someone that you know might need your help with it in 2 weeks' time, in 2 months' time, in 2 years' time.
Yeah.
And having that place to kind of go to, and I mean, I've said a lot about our health services and how oversubscribed and underfunded it is, and it is a real shame. But things like this is where people can get their free content, get their free recommendations.
It's help.
Yeah,
It is actually help, and I think that there's so many tips and tricks and videos and guides you can watch online about how to help with stuff like this. And you know, you've got what's it? I started taking it only very recently. Ashwagandha is this like herbal thing that apparently is meant to reduce stress, help with mental health and stuff like that. It's probably a gimmick, right? Let's be honest, it's probably a gimmick. But you know, it's just that you've got to try these things, right? But yeah, I don't know, like people like you who have, you know, got a platform to just provide an aid to people that may not want to speak out, for me is really sort of admirable, because when I was in the shit, I didn't have that, and it's nice knowing that someone tomorrow could look and go, oh fuck, that's exactly what I'm going through. This is going to help, and you know, it makes such a big difference. And I think it's good that it's all walks of people, all walks of life are talking about issues that may or may not be applicable to any random person ever, sort of thing. So I don't know, it's just it's nice to be a part of a bigger picture.
Well, it's my pleasure,
Yeah.
absolutely my pleasure. There's one thing I actually did want to talk to you about, because
Yeah.
this is quite an interesting, I think this shows our generation, I'm not sure about other generations, but I remember you posted a TikTok. So I thought this would be quite an interesting conversation. Not that I planned it. But obviously, yeah, just talk about what you, because it was obviously at the height of everything kind of crashing down on you, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly when it was, but it was the day I got sacked.
It was, wasn't it?
It was the day I got sacked, which was February 11th this year. No, it was January 11th, sorry, this year. And even before that, I was having a shit day. I remember just being at home, just crying, just because. I don't know why, I can't remember why, and I was having one of those days where I was just so in my own head that I just didn't know what to do. So I was talking to my friends, and just said to them, I was like, boys, I'm fucking really struggling. And yeah, it just immediately, both of them were like, let's book a holiday. let's sort this. Let's see what we can do. And then I just got the ton of bricks dropped on me, and it was, you've lost your job. And it kind of, yeah, I don't know, like I just,
The final straw, really.
it was the final straw. And then the weird part of me that is also it's like it's almost
it's good and bad, really, isn't it?
It's funny because it's like it's the weird, like it's the comedic, not, I don't say mental illness, but it's there was that part of me that went, do you know what, this would be so funny if I made it into a TikTok. Like in hindsight, it was probably a really stupid thing for me to do, but in reality also, that was a TikTok that was seen by a lot of people.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people in the comments that were like, I'm glad you've spoken up. Are you doing okay? Blah, blah, blah. And like,
Which is amazing.
I had messages from so many people from, again, all different walks of life, from all over the place, of, I'm really struggling, what can I do? Blah, blah, blah. And like stuff like that. So it was so silly at the time. And I like to look back at it and just, it was silly, but I don't know, it just,
because so how I see it is, it's quite an interesting, because obviously very well that it was part of a trend, wasn't it? It was like one of those memeing trends. Yeah,
it was.
So it obviously caught traction.
Yeah.
Which I'm guessing you didn't expect it to.
I went to bed.
It's the ones that you least expect that end up doing.
No, I went to bed and it had like 12 likes, and I was just sort of like, yeah,
jokes.
Nice. And I woke up and it had like 10,000 likes, and I was like, oh shit, okay. And then it just, within like a week, it just went up and up and up and up, and it just kept going. And like, I still get it on today on my phone.
Really?
Yeah, it's mad. But like, I made like a follow-up video to it, just sort of saying like, I'm okay. This was just one of those days where I was really down. You know, I thank you so much to everyone who's had the time and the you know
The compassion to
sort
kind of
said
send you a
something,
message.
yeah. And it just it was so it's so silly, but it just
Because I have noticed, certainly in our generation, that's why I kind of brought it up, is that I'm not saying that it was toxic, but it can. We have a knack of using horrible things or bad events or trauma,
yeah.
and using comedy as like a coping
Oh,
mechanism.
100%.
It is, isn't it?
100%.
We just try and make jokes out of it, or memes,
Yeah.
to kind of make it seem as less bad and dampen it down to
Yeah.
what it really is,
Yeah.
just so we give less of a fuck.
I think that's it. I think that is it. And you know, for some people that is a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think for me at that very specific time, it was a coping mechanism.
Yeah.
But
Looking back now, do you reckon you would have done the same?
impossible to tell. I have no idea because, like, as you say, it was a trend. It was a thing at the time.
Yeah.
So it's all variable on.
Well, it's impulsive, really, isn't it? That's
and
quite
just,
impulsive, I suppose.
At the time, I just thought, fuck this. I'm making it. I was like, it's funny. I don't care. And then I sent it to my mates, and they were sort of like, oh yeah, didn't really get it.
Yeah.
And then it just,
blew
it blew up, and it.
No one knows what's going viral these days.
No, I know, but
You might get Bindi Mega Chippy coming. It's
God,
just
don't.
woeful. But do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
In that sense as well, that is just literally, that's just gone randomly viral because people are trying to find interest in something that is remotely not interesting in their lives.
Yeah.
They're just latching onto something. There must be something deep rooted going on, or I'm just looking quite deeply into it. But to find things like that to just go viral, I'm sure it's a totally bang average shop.
Oh, Billy Mega Chip.
Yeah,
It's just a chip shop.
It's just a chip shop.
Yeah.
In Coventry,
Yeah.
that has just decided some song has just blown it up or something.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it just.
But yeah, that's
so
it. Yeah, the whole
So
the
silly.
coping mechanisms and things is interesting, isn't it? And it's lovely to hear that a lot of people reacted positively from that
Massively.
TikTok, because you get
Massively,
a lot
massively.
of hate on TikTok.
Yeah, I mean,
as well.
I'll check now. I think it's got like.
How many likes has it racked up?
So it's on 702,000 views. It's got 170 comments. So not that many relative to the likes, but I can scroll through here and every single one is positive.
Lovely.
Are you doing okay? Well, at least you don't have to ask for time off now. Hilarious. Like, on the plus side, you haven't got book holiday. Good for you for reaching out to your friends and being vulnerable. I know how hard it can be. And every single one on here is positive. There's not a single comment that I've genuinely had that's... I had a couple that were like, why are you sending pictures of you crying to your friends? And I was just like, and I would just say,
they just don't really get it. Yeah.
I feel comfortable enough within
totally.
myself and with my
yourself.
friends that I
Yeah.
can do that, and it would be the same for them, sort of thing. And you know,
It's beautiful,
there's
mate.
gonna be-
It's actually beautiful that you
Yeah.
can do that.
and there's you know, it's age demographic, right? I'm sure there were people that were a lot younger that would just be like, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
But as you say, it's our generation. It's sort of very applicable to us, where people can go, ha, that's actually really funny. But I also feel really bad. For
Yeah.
people, so it's,
There's
you know,
two sides of it, isn't there?
There's definitely two. It's two sides of the coin. But no, it's
Viral sensation, Oscar.
it's so silly, honestly. Like I've had like a handful of people come up to me on like when I'm out. being
Really?
Like, are you the guy who lost his job? And I'm like, yes. What? Like,
Imagine.
oh, did I work with you? Like, no, I saw your TikTok. I'm like, brilliant, hilarious. Like, you're welcome. I don't know. Yeah, it's funny.
That is brilliant. But yeah, so you're doing much better now.
Much better.
Yeah.
Much better.
Yeah.
Like, I still have my off days. It was my birthday just gone last week, so I was out and doing stuff over the whole bank weekend, and I woke up on Sunday and I was just like, I hate my life.
It's drinking.
I really don't want to be here. It was one of those
drinking.
moments, and you know, I know I'm now in a position where I can go. It's the lack of sleep, not eating proper food, eating crap food, drinking heavily. Like, it's those variables where now I can go, remove that, you're fine.
Yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
previously I'd be like, what the hell's going wrong with me?
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be as often that I'd be going out, and it was that kind of confusion within myself where I was so confused. I didn't know what was wrong with me. Whereas now I'm
You're understanding yourself.
I can
more.
understand, yeah, and I think I can assess and go, do you know what? I had a busy last week. I'm gonna go a bit easier this week, and already I feel much better.
That self-control.
Yeah, and like even on the Wednesday when I was out with work, I did have a couple of beers, but it was a couple of beers, and ordinarily that might have been me that was just like throwing them back, like, oh, let's just get ruined sort of thing. Whereas now I'm like, you know what? You make yourself feel like shit. Why do you do that?
Yeah.
What's the point? Because you just know that you're going to wake up
Calling
in the
yourself
morning and
out on
feel
it.
like horrible. Yeah. So I don't know. It just there's still times and there's still things that need to be addressed within myself. But I think coming from even where I was at the beginning of the year to now, so what, it's been 6 months nearly, or over 6 months. I think it's a different person, and I really put that down to.
Almost, there's a multitude of factors. You can't pinpoint one thing.
So many things, but I think it was kind of an element of just trust in myself, because, as I said earlier on, the only person who's going to make you better is you. No one can fix you. No one can make it better for you. You can have help, 100%. I believe that, but it just, I don't know.
It's an important thing, really, isn't it? Because therapists aren't there to cure you.
No.
They're there to help you get to your own answers.
Yes, exactly.
It's not like they're just going to tell you what to do. They rarely ever give you kind of advice or options. They leave it totally down to your own devices to figure it out for yourself, which is the most important thing.
And I think it's not necessarily an easy way out, but there's aids of antidepressants, which I never really explored the route of, because I don't really want to put myself through that, because I know that it can have effects that are kind of contradicting to what you're trying to achieve. I think for me it's
doing it in a natural.
Having had that ability to just grind through it and work through it as myself, where I'm a little bit even more like, well done, Oscar.
Good on you.
Good on me. Like, I don't know, but
you should be very proud, Oscar. For
I think so. I fucking hell, I can't speak. I really have days where I struggle, and I think everyone does. But and I think there's definitely triggers massively of things. Music as an example for me. Music for me is an incredibly important part of my life, and there's certain songs that mean
set moods and have meanings.
And there's history behind certain things. And I was it was a couple of weeks back. I was just had on shuffle and a song came on, and I completely broke down, like fully completely broke down, and I know why, and I know the history behind it. Whereas now, if that was to come on again, I'd still be very upset, but it's
you have
having
control
that
over
control,
that emotion and awareness.
It completely blindsided me, and I was just like, fuck me, I'm like, a
blubbering mess.
I was just a complete mess. Yeah, I literally, I don't know what to do.
It's quite stunning how it can have that effect on you, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like certain smells just bring back memories.
Yeah,
like
massively.
Smells can as well.
Places, just everything has an effect. So I don't know, like, I think I've been out more I've been surrounding myself actively and consciously surrounding myself with people who I want to be around.
Brilliant.
And I think previously I was not hanging around with bad people at all, but I would just sort of go out for the sake of it.
Yeah.
And just because people are out, I'll go out with them. Whereas now
you've got more control.
Yeah,
and that's what's most important.
And I think a big part of why I'm so proud of our friendship group is because it doesn't matter who you are, everyone's friends, everyone's there, everyone wants to help out with each other, and I think that all of us, collectively should be so proud that we can all give each other that comfort.
Have that environment, yeah.
Because people, as I said, people don't have that. People, and I think that's where it comes into the toxic side, because more, I guess, male-dominant friendship groups, if you were to come to people with an issue, they'd be like, I don't care. I don't want to hear about this.
What are you even talking about?
Yeah,
like,
shut up. Just get on with it. Sort of thing. Whereas anyone and everyone that I've spoken to about stuff has always been like, "What's going on?" And it just
lent that ear or lent that bit of assistance.
It's a helping hand. It's a shoulder to cry on. Physically to cry on, and
it shows you're not alone, and people are there for you. People are there to help.
Yeah, massive. And it just, I will be forever thankful for every person that has helped me. Because, I probably would be in a worse position than I'm in now, let's put it that way. So, yeah. Well,
credit to you, mate. Massive credit to you. Very, very nice. It's a great chat. It's a great chat.
Yeah.
So I think, it was a lovely, lovely way to end it on, and the way that we do like to end things. If there is one particular mindfulness technique that kind of keeps you grounded, keeps you calm, that that works for you that you could recommend to the viewers and listeners, what would it be?
I honestly, just let go. Just let go. Like, if there is a scenario that I said this earlier on, if you can't control it, just let it go, because you're going to put yourself through even more stress trying to control something that you just can't. You get in your head. And for me, as someone, I used to have a really bad temper, and it would be more triggered when there were scenarios where I couldn't affect. I had no control. Whereas now, I'm just like, you know what, whatever. So I think for those that are dealing with stuff, really, it sounds very cliche, but do write it down. The things you can control, you make an effort to control. Those you can't, just let it go. Just let it go and just get on with it, because you're just going backwards.
Yeah.
And there's no
solution. There's no solution if you can't control it.
And
it's always going to be out of your control.
It's so much emotional effort that is so unnecessary that you could be putting into something more positive.
Yeah.
In my opinion, anyway.
Brilliant.
So yeah.
Stunning.
Yes.
Thank you very much, big man.
No
so
worries.
lovely
Thank
to see
you.
you.
Very much.
Thank you for coming on.
And
And thank you all for listening and watching. We'll see you next time on Sully's Open Conversation. Goodbye.